Answers sometimes feel so good to receive, don't they? You have been working and searching for so long, and then, it's there. They can bring us calmness and peace, clarity and comfort, or joy and a sense of satisfaction. It's the pursuit for answers that can sometimes get frustrating and just frankly exhausting. Well, the Toddcast is a place that maybe you can glean some nuggets of perspective that can easily apply to you in your position here at Joe Bullard, your home life, your marriage, your relationship with your child, or just somewhere in your everyday life. Remember, as our friend Andy Andrews says, the quality of your answers are only determined by the quality of your questions. Come alongside Todd and I as we explore topics that might not be what you're expecting. Let's get started. Welcome back to the Toddcast, guys. Once again, got Todd here, where we just ask him questions that he has no idea what we're going to ask him, and we just hear what he says off the cuff, which is kind of the idea of kind of where this was born. So thank you for tuning back in. Got one question for you today, Todd. We'll just jump right in.
Yeah.
And I feel like the basis of this question, not to give you too much insight, but this kind of came from, I know you're here weekly in our company. I know you're at other companies weekly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's what you do. I mean, besides a lot of other things, but one of the main reasons is you're going around these companies and you talk to a lot of people.
Right.
And you see people at all levels of the company, and you probably hear things, get a sense of things, kind of read into things. And so that's kind of where the basis of this question came from.
Right.
There's probably some things in there that I'd be really interested to see. And so my question's this.
All right.
In its present time, like, what do you feel like leaders and or managers, need to hear right now? Does the question make sense?
Yes, okay. It does. There's a lot of ththings they need to hear. That's I'm trying to consolidate it into kind of an edible bite. So
because in the basis, as you think,
sure.
Basis of sometimes as leaders or managers, we think we got it all figured out.
Right.
We think if they just get on my page, if they
sure.
could just these people just do. And I don't know that that's always the case.
Right. And so I would say that this is going to kind of connect to a Toddcast that we've done in the past that I think is helpful because it's similar. Being a leader or a manager in some ways is like raising kids. And so I think there's something that all leaders, all managers need to hear and keep in mind all the time, and it is, do you know with clarity what your goals and your purpose are, and are you communicating that through strong relationship? So can you tell me exactly with specificity, this is what we're about, this is what we value, this is what we want to do, this is our goal, this is our mission and our goal, and are you communicating that in a way that builds others up and builds the company and builds relationship?
So, what is a way that maybe they would be miscommunicating, even if they knew what that was, to specificity and clarity?
Right.
Where do we fall potentially? Where do you see that maybe being miscommunicated or not communicated the right way?
Well, so vision is, I think Andy Stanley has said this. We mentioned Andy Stanley in another podcast, or Toddcast. Andy Stanley said something one time that I thought was brilliant, and I don't think it was originated with him, but he's the one that said it, that it stuck. Vision is like Teflon. It just slides. Everything that touches it just slides right off.
Yeah, the pot with the cooked eggs in it.
Yeah. So you can flip it, right? So what that means is you've got to make it sticky. And so I think that what happens is we assume that everybody remembers the goals, the mission, the vision. And so we don't do a good enough job of communicating that. And so yes, they know with specificity, this is what our goals are, this is what we want to achieve. In your case, I mean, as a salesperson, I know I want to reach this number of cars this week, and to get that, I know that I have to make these kind of contacts, and I have to follow up with these people, and I've got to do this work, and I've got to, whatever it is. This is my to-do list to do that. And people know that, but what leaders have to do is help is help the people under them not just know that, but to own it and to see the value in it. And so there has to be accountability there, but accountability can be something that is relationship based and not just top down based. So a good leader is someone who doesn't dictate, but that someone that that kind of influences. So John Maxwell says influence is leadership. Bottom line, period. It's not about your positional power. Positional power doesn't mean anything. Are you influencing people? And what I have found is that the way you influence people is through good, solid relationship. Honest, solid relationship.
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't have that, you can't do anything else.
It's so interesting. Sometimes, and kind of on that same thought of influence and honest relationship. That's where this triggered. Honest relationship. We've taken over, Frontier last year, and so there's been some things as we take over a company sometimes that, as much as you want to keep things the same, reality is they're different companies, and you have to make minor adjustments along the way. But so many times through these minor adjustments that I kind of build up in my head necessarily, and I just, whether it's worry or got to tell them it's, we have such a solid team over there, but just coming to the table and just being honest and transparent about the issue or the adjustment or whatever that may be, that maybe won't be perceived as positive necessarily.
Right, sure.
But it's just a reality.
Yeah.
It is amazing when you approach something with just honesty and transparency and genuineness.
Yes.
And they see that, like I take this, we had a 401k issue at Frontier, and John Galanis, worked his tail off to try to make this as best he can, really try to keep it the same. He spent a year, really 13 months. Getting to the bottom, as Andy Andrews says, go to the bottom of the pool, go to the bottom of the pool. And he worked his tail off. And so when we had to go over there, but he unfortunately, we couldn't accomplish what you just couldn't. The law, we couldn't get around it. And so at the end of the day, we just had to say, hey, this is reality, and this is what it is. But just to see everybody, in my opinion, when John talked about that, saw how genuine he was and knew how hard he worked, and it was like, yeah, I know it's not great, but I can accept that.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And what people want is, people don't want to be lied to, and people want to know where they are and if they're doing a good job. So you have to earn the right as a leader or as a manager. You have to earn the right to tell the truth.
Yeah.
So we've talked about feedback in the past.
Yeah.
And so feedback can be, positive or negative. But if you're only giving negative feedback, they're never going to hear it.
Yeah.
If you give positive feedback and negative feedback, then you're creating a relationship that says, okay, I realize where I am. It's not always only negative. It's if you went to your spouse and all you ever did was talk about negative things and the negative aspects of your relationship, and that's all you ever did, and you never.
Listen, you don't have to talk about me directly on this podcast.
But if that's all you're ever doing, then there's that relationship isn't healthy, right? And so it's the same way in leadership. You have to be able to give positive feedback and earn the right to give the negative feedback. But you do that through relationship.
Yeah.
The people that will run through that wall for you aren't the people that you've demanded run through the wall for you. It's the people that you've built a solid relationship with of honesty and care, and they understand where you're coming from, and they'll run through that wall for you.
Yeah, it's like that what Kevin took us through with the chef in New York about, he gives 150 pieces of feedback every day. Like he knows the number he gives. There's at least 150 pieces of feedback, which a lot of those positive negatives. Yeah, that's so powerful. It just becomes normal.
Right.
And that's when you have to make feedback normal, and then all of a sudden, kind of going back to the bank account debits and withdrawals or deposits and withdrawals.
Right.
You got to make that. You got to do both. And so, something that thinks kind of in our business that. A small little way, kind of going back to the miscommunication or non-communication of, hey, here's our vision, here's what I expect us to do, here's what we're going to do. But whereas leaders and managers, sometimes we fail. It's like, I had an example the other day that where an employee was thankful, like he told me to call somebody, and I called him,
right,
and right away, and he can trust that.
Yes,
he knows that he can trust. If I give it to that man, he's going to do what he says he's going to do. And I'm not talking about myself, but this instance, who was talking about that, like that matters as a manager. Like you have to do exactly everything that you expect your other people to do. So,
Right, sure.
Hey, if you got a service advisor has an issue in the customer and they come to you as the service manager and say, hey, boss, I need help on this one. I need you to take over this one. I can't get this customer. I'm stuck. If that service manager doesn't call or gets busy and doesn't do that, like that service advisor goes, well, he ain't doing this. Why am I gonna do it? Like
right.
It's just that's a little thing kind of in our business
Sure.
that I've seen happen. That it's got to be a radar that says, hey, I'm going to do this right away so that he sees me more than anybody because I need to be the leader in that aspect kind of thing.
Yeah, and
trust.
it goes back to the golden rule: treat people like you want to be treated.
Yeah.
And so, as a manager, build relationships and love on your people so that when things are tough, they know that you got their back.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Awesome. Okay. Well, I didn't know where we'd go with that question, but I was always curious just because your perspective, you just see something. You get it from a different lens than we do kind of as leaders and managers. So
Right.
I appreciate you kind of expounding on that and answering that question. Guys, thank y'all for joining us again for the Toddcast. Stay tuned for more. Hope these are helpful. Hope they make a difference in your life. Hope they give you a little nugget, maybe for your spouse or even your family. Like maybe you listen to them outside of work, which is awesome. And so hope these are helpful. Look forward to being with you next time. Take care.